Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of the All In Show right here on Clemson at the Voice of College Football. Thank you so much for joining me. Got a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. Going to talk recruiting, going to talk Clemson Media Days, going to talk Mike Williams' retirement, and, of course, Lane Kiffin and his comments about Clemson at SEC Media Days. So if that sounds like something you're into, stick around with us. We'll get right into the show. But before we start the show tonight, a couple things. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. Get us closer and closer to that 6,000 subscriber goal that we have. Also, hit that like button. Really helps us out on these live videos specifically. And then share the video with all of your college football friends, family, whoever you know that likes to consume college football content. Send them our way. We got a big season ahead of us. We got lots of content planned, and we would love if you would hang out with us and consume the content and become a part of our community. Get into the live chat. At the end of every show, we chop it up with the live chat for 45 minutes to an hour, just answering your guys' questions and just talking with you guys about your questions, comments, concerns, whatever you want to talk about college football at the end of every show. So stick around for that as well. Last but not least, if you want to support the show, we do have channel memberships available. We will be doing exclusive members only content during the season. So if you want to support the show on a monthly basis, go ahead and click to become a member of the channel. We also have the super chat feature available if you want to support the show in that way. Thank you guys so much for being here. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman. Jordan, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. And just had some Chick-fil-A for dinner, so
Hey, there you go.
I'm feeling pretty good. Got the grilled chicken club today. No pride, but I had to, trying to eat healthier. So
That's right. That's right.
But it was still pretty good. Still pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to talk about our Tigers, man. It's been a week. Obviously, not everything we're going to talk about today is positive, but I've got an interesting take on some of the things that kind of been surrounding the topic we're going to talk about first. So excited to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We got a ton to talk about tonight. Lots of different topics to get into. We got 14 people in the live chat right now already. So thank you guys so much for being here. Hit that like button while you're in here. Like I said at the top of the show, quick shout out to the comment section. John Sarian in here first, as he is majority of the time one of our great OGs of the channel and one of our moderators. Thank you for being in here. Jay is in here, and Arthur Moss, one of our monthly supporters. So thank you for supporting the channel in that way, Arthur. We really appreciate you. And yeah, I guess we can. It's been a crazy week, and it's exciting time, right? Because like ACC Media Days is right around the corner. SEC Media Days is obviously happening this week. We got a couple sound bites that we'll be talking about and addressing later on in the show. But it's an exciting time because football's finally here, right? We got our media days coming. Fall camp starts, I think, 31 July, right, is the kickoff for a fall camp, the first official practice of fall camp. And then the LSU game will be right around the corner. So football is officially back. Talking season is growing closer and closer to an end, and we're about to see what these teams look like on the field, and basically another month, essentially, a little over a month. So exciting times, lots of content coming your way, guys. Some interviews planned for you guys that will have some special guests. So stay tuned for all that. And yeah, man, let's go ahead and dive into the show. I'm excited about what we got to talk about tonight. And obviously, like we do with every show, Jordan, we're going to kick it off with the recruiting. The 2026 class has rounded out quite nicely for the Clemson Tigers, right? We've had a lot of big wins in the 2026 class so far. We got 21 commits. That's good for 12th in the country right now, according to 247 Sports. But we have not gotten every recruit that we've gone after, much like every team in the country, basically. You can't get them all. And Tyler Atkinson was the latest example of Clemson missing on a recruit. Linebacker, big-time five-star linebacker, obviously, decided to pick Texas over the Clemson Tigers. Your thoughts on Tyler Atkinson's commitment? Did it surprise you at all that he didn't commit to Clemson? And then also, did it surprise you that he maybe didn't commit to Georgia, where, there was a lot of, news out there leaning Georgia's way just because of the hometown type deal, that kind of pull of, playing for your in-state university, especially Georgia, as good as they are right now. So just kind of your take on Clemson missing on Tyler Atkinson and how that affects this 2026 class and maybe where we pivot from there.
Yeah, obviously, Tyler Atkinson was the biggest name left on the board, and for good reason. I mean, we talked about him ad nauseum. We basically had an update every single week on how things were shaking out. Yeah. There's always stood to be a recruitment that was going to be, you weren't really going to know how it was going to play out until he ultimately made his decision. There was a lot of confidence on Georgia's side. And for good reason. 5-star in-state linebackers don't leave the state very often. I mean, you have your exceptions. Clemson has gotten a couple of them. Sammy Brown, Barrett Carter come to mind. But, this was a recruitment that just I think when you look at kind of the dynamics of how everything played out, I mean, going into the going into March and when Clemson held their junior day, I mean, that was when they really started to gain momentum with Tyler Atkinson and gain some traction. He visited, he really enjoyed it, and Clemson ultimately made that Final Four and got that official visit. But he was always a guy that played things close to the chest. It was very buttoned up in a lot of ways. His agency was actually the same one that represented Bryce Perry Wright. So take that for what it's worth. I think these two recruitments were a little bit different. And obviously Clemson didn't have the ties to Tyler Atkinson that they did to Bryce Perry Wright. So it was always going to be a different sort of play. But ultimately this one, I don't see it as big of a loss. I mean, obviously that was your number one, your pretty much your only linebacker target on the board. So from that standpoint, it stings a ton. But I'm not sweating this one as much. This was always a recruitment that I felt Clemson had a shot in, but I never would consider them the leader. And They were going up against some heavy hitters from an NIL standpoint. And so as far as him picking Texas, it's not the most shocking thing in the world. I mean, when you think about where his recruitment was, what his recruitment was viewed as, like saying like January, Ohio State was very much involved with him. Georgia, of course, Oregon, Clemson. But I think what was really instructive was when official visit season rolled around and Texas swooped in and nabbed that official visit, and Ohio State didn't get one. I think Texas definitely trended the most over the last 6 months and really started to gain traction with him. And if you view it from that instance, it makes a ton of sense why he ended up picking Texas. So, and I always said that like all of these industry predictions earlier were they were talking about Georgia. It was more, it wasn't really based on any solid sort of information. It was always kind of guesswork with him because, like I said, that recruitment was very buttoned up. So, I'm not the long answer. That was a really long answer to say I'm not really surprised. I have some idea of what Clemson might do as far as a pivot. But I don't view this one in the same light as I did Bryce Perry Wright, where I was like, this is a guy, you have to land him type of thing. And if you don't, it's going to sting a good bit. This one, I think Tyler Atkinson is a phenomenal football. He's probably actually the best football player that Clemson had on their board. He is a truly elite prospect, but I don't view that loss as a knock on Clemson. In fact, I think in a lot of ways, not trying to spin a moral victory, but when you consider the heavy hitters that they were going up against as far as NIL was concerned, the fact that they were involved over a team like Ohio State, I think it says a lot about what resources Clemson has been able to invest this cycle and be more competitive in these higher profile recruitments. So I think it's a game you're going to have to play, and Clemson is definitely in much better position to play it than they were the last couple of years. So I think it's not positive when you lose a kid like that, but it's I think it does say a lot about how far Clemson has come from a financial resources standpoint when it comes to these recruitments.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you would much rather have Tyler Atkinson in your class versus not having him in your class. But, there is something to be said about, I think, Ben Boulware as a brand new linebackers coach, a really young guy. I think he's only 30 years old, probably the youngest position coach on the staff, a guy that is obviously still learning, just going into his first season coaching that linebacker room. But I think it says a lot about his ability as a recruiter just to even get Clemson this far in the game into Tyler Atkinson's recruitment. Because if you remember back in January, we weren't even a thought. We were nowhere on the board He wasn't coming to Clemson. He wasn't planning on coming to Clemson. Clemson was not even a viable option for him. And obviously, at the end, Clemson turned out to be a viable option, just not the one that he chose. Obviously, you lost out to Texas. And, like you said, there's no moral victories here. But I think there has been a clear shift. Although we've struck out with a couple 5 stars that we've tried to get in the 2026 class, you can see where Clemson's recruiting is in a different place when it comes to the NIL and the other things that are a part of college football recruiting now that Clemson wasn't doing well just a year or two ago, right? And now are doing much better in that department. They're being competitive with their offers and letting the rest of the program sell itself. Obviously, it didn't work out when it came to Tyler Atkinson's recruitment, but at the end of the day, they were well within striking distance and could have landed him. It just didn't go our way, and that's unfortunate. It's not good. We would be much better off with him in the class, but I think Clemson will be okay. Obviously, you'll have to pivot somewhere else. What they end up doing, that kind of remains to be seen. I think there's still some guys out there that Clemson's interested in. And guys that were probably waiting on this decision. One of the other good things is that he did decide now. He didn't draw it all the way out into October, November timeframe, right, where you would have really been up against the wall if you were holding out for his decision, because other players that may be your pivot plan, if you will, would eventually have to make their decisions, right, and maybe not be able to wait on you and Tyler Atkinson to make his decision. So it's good that it happened now in July. Again, we would have much rather have him than not have him, but it's good that it happened now. So now we can pivot to the other guys that are on the board and get them into this 2026 class.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point, a very salient point, because again, I mean, there have been times where Clemson has put their all into a guy that ended up dragging his recruitment out, and then they end up choosing elsewhere, and now you're kind of scrambling. But the fact that he made his decision in July, there's still some quality linebacker prospects out on the board. Multiple outlets for Clemson have circled DQ Forkpa as a potential pivot point for Clemson, the 4-star linebacker out of IMG Academy. He was actually, set to make his decision a couple weeks ago. There was a lot of industry predictions that came in for Florida, but their renewed interest from Michigan and now from Clemson have kind of made him give some cold feet. So I do think that's a potential. I think that's the most obvious pivot point that stands out right now, and one that I think Clemson could get into and potentially win out. So,
and that was kind of a little tip of the hat if you really pay attention to recruiting that happened prior to Tyler Atkinson's commitment. Mm-hmm. That probably, if you're a Clemson fan and you're following recruiting, like I said, really closely, kind of tip the cap to be like, oh, we're probably not getting Tyler Atkinson. Yeah. The coaches are reaching out to this guy and being like, hey, you sure you want to commit now, or can we talk again, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that came out like, I don't know, a day or so before Tyler Atkinson committed, and was certainly in my mind a tip of the cap that we weren't going to get Tyler Atkinson, and that the coaching staff was probably already pivoting to those other guys on the board.
Yeah, I mean, in those types of recruitments, I mean, you always have to keep you have to keep those lines of communication open. And you always want to, because that, I mean, the staff, felt like they had a shot, but you can tell, you can read the tea leaves, and you can understand the dynamics of that recruitment and be like, okay, we have to be prepared if this doesn't go our way, and that's what Clemson has been able to do. So I would expect an offer if they can get them on campus, and I think the rest will have to play itself out. But it's interesting that he's from IMG Academy. That's obviously a place that Clemson has, in the past really recruited heavily, but obviously in the last few years they've pretty much completely ignored. And there's some reasons behind that. But IMG Academy has a new coach, and so there's a different regime down there running that program, and I think that's playing a huge role in Clemson's opening back up the doors of communication to that school. So, and obviously, any of you that follow any sort of high school recruiting, high school football, knows that IMG Academy is a talent mill of high quality football players, and Clemson has certainly gotten their fair share of those guys in the past. Obviously, DeMonte Capehart played at IMG Academy, Xavier Thomas, to name a few. So you can kind of tell that this will be an option in the future, which I think is good, because I think it's nice to be able to have those lines of communication and have ends in that school again. So
absolutely, certainly is. But yeah, that's the state of Clemson recruiting right now in the 2026 class. Again, 21 recruits, so commits, verbal commits so far. Probably get up to, what do you think, Jordan? Maybe 23, 24 commits before the class is over. Somewhere around there is probably the number that we're looking at for this class. So again, a really good class so far. Still got a couple pieces to get into the fold. So you guys stay tuned for that, and we'll be sure to get those videos out as the commitments come. And before we get into our next topic, guys, we're going to hear just a short video from our very own Mark Rogers.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
All right, guys, you heard Mark there. Go shop the Amazon link. Anytime you're checking out on Amazon, hit that link for the Voice of College Football. It really helps us out, helps support all the channels under the umbrella of the Voice of College Football. So you're not only helping us, you're helping a lot of other people. It's just one simple extra step. Doesn't cost you any more money, doesn't affect what you're ordering, just simply helps support the Voice of College Football, and more specifically, the All In Show right here. So we would appreciate your help with that. Got 24 people in the live chat. Let me remind you, if you're in here, first of all, thank you so much for being in here. Hit that like button for us. It really helps us out on these live videos. And stay to the end of the show. Get your comments in now. Get your questions in now. And when me and Jordan are done with our planned portion of the show, we're going to turn it over to you guys like we do every show for 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and just chop it up with you guys and talk about what you guys want to talk about. So stick with us throughout the show. Get your comments in, and we'll get to it at the end of the show. I promise you that. All right, Jordan, moving right along. Like I said, football is back. Clemson officially had their media day this week. Clemson kind of uniquely does this leading up to ACC media days every year. Dabo kind of makes the staff available, and man, did he make the staff available this year. I think every coach, their wife, their kids, their extended family, like every coach was available for media days. We heard from pretty much everybody, from all the position coaches, the OC, the DC, obviously, and then Dabo wrapping it up at the end of Clemson media days, making some funny comments and jokes about Brian Kelly and him having a shop down in Florida and performing to a small crowd with the Florida Georgia line story that he told the media there that was pretty hilarious. But with all that said, Clemson media days, we heard a lot. We heard from a lot of the position coaches, pretty much every position coach. We heard from Dabo Swinney. Anything that really stood out for you in Clemson media days, whether it was from Dabo or Garrett Riley or Tom Allen or any of the position coaches, what kind of stood out to you from Clemson media day as you kind of went through the interviews and watched them?
Yeah, I mean, I was very interested in hearing about the new faces. Obviously, the biggest additions to the defensive staff, of course, being Tom Allen, of course, Ben Boulware at linebacker coach, and Tom Allen Jr., who gave some insightful things too. But I think what really stuck out to me was Tom Allen just talking about how they kind of stripped everything down and rebuilt how they did things. I think when you talk about the problems that Clemson had over the last couple of years under the previous defensive staff, you saw, obviously I don't think it was so much of a game plan issue. Like I don't think it was anything they did wrong in the film room. But I think there was very much a lackadaisical, I don't want to say lackadaisical, but there was a passive kind of mindset in practice, in preparation, that I think played itself out on game day. I mean, they practiced how they played a lot of the time, and that was the biggest problem with Clemson's defense, especially last season. I mean, I don't think Wes Goodwin's scheme was bad and his game plans were bad. I think he's a very smart defensive mind, but obviously there was not the presence during the week and especially on the field that made players want to play with the intensity that they were expected to play at. And given the standard that's here at Clemson, that just wasn't acceptable. And so hearing Tom Allen say all those things about how he went back and reviewed everything that the previous staff did and said, we are rebuilding the foundation from the ground up. I thought that was, I think if you're a Clemson fan, that's extremely refreshing to hear, because watching the performances that Clemson had, especially in the last few games of the season. I mean, Clemson gave that. Shout out to my boy Dustin Black over on Twitter. He actually did the numbers on this. The last 4 games for Clemson, they gave up a total of 1,001 rushing yards.
Good Lord.
That's between the Citadel, South Carolina, SMU, and Texas. They gave up 1,001 rushing yards. That is for those of you at home that that don't like to do math, that's an average of 250 rushing yards allowed per game.
That's a total collapse on defense. I mean, when you're thinking about it, it's just a total collapse on defense. And I like that you started with Tom Allen, because one of the things that stand out to me with him is I like all the stuff about how personal he is with his players and how intentional he is with getting to know them on a personal level and understanding what makes them tick and why they do what they do, right? But I just like how honest he is about how unacceptable Clemson's defense was from a preparation standpoint. He makes it very clear that all the athletes are there to field a top-level defense. But as you mentioned, there was kind of a lack of intensity in Clemson's preparation, and he keyed on it from jump, right? Watching the practice tape, watching the game tape, just a lack of intensity that, as you mentioned, started out in practice and obviously transferred over into the game. And there wasn't that level of intensity or accountability or just holding people to the standard. And that stat that you shared at the end was, that's a perfect example of how poorly Clemson's defense played in stretches last season. That 1,000-yard stat in the last 4 games, just rushing yards alone, is absolutely insane. And it's unacceptable. And I remember numerous times last year after games when me and you were doing the post-game lives, and we were talking about how, and these were following wins, mind you. And we would be talking about we're just giving up these explosive plays and over and over again. It's like we were broken records on these post-game lives, even though we were winning. It just on the defensive side of the ball just did not look good. And sometimes we'd be like, we put in some reserve guys, but that's still not acceptable. I think Tom Allen has been refreshing in the fact that he's not shying away from there were some serious problems on Clemson's defense, and I'm here to fix those problems. So I like that. I like that level of honesty.
Absolutely. He's very to the point about and matter of fact and how he says things. And, I definitely think that translates to his coaching style, but, and probably with a little bit more force in his voice when he's doing it. I mean, the word around the building, it feels like it. I'm not calling him Brent Venables, but that voice, that presence, that gravity about him when he speaks and when he gives instruction and when he coaches, it's reminiscent of that. And obviously I think when you're playing defense, I mean, you kind of have to have that. I mean, it's not even just like on the offensive side of the ball where you don't have too many offensive coaches that get loud. Some do, but you can be a calm and reserved and kind of methodical kind of personality on the offensive side of the ball, and because it's a different mindset. You're already attacking. By the nature of the game, the offense is attacking.
Right.
But defensively, like playing passive is going to get you beat 100% of the time. Like there's no point where okay, we played things conservative and close to the vest and lackadaisical or reserved. Like that's going to get you beat. And so you need to, as a coach, you need to be able to instill the mindset that we're going to play with 110%, all the cliches, but to the end of the whistle. And you didn't see that last year, and that's why you saw so many missed tackles, so many poor run fits, so many missed opportunities on the defensive side of the ball. Because there were plays to be made. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest example was the South Carolina game, because you had so many opportunities to bring the North Sellers down to the ground. I mean, they were getting home.
Had them wrapped up.
Blitzes and pressures were good.
Yeah, they basically had them wrapped up on like numerous times in tackles for loss. And then next thing you know, he's 20 yards down the field.
Yep.
And it's just like, it was mind-numbing to watch. And I thought that another thing that he mentioned that was interesting was he gave the defense homework on like tackling drills and techniques and stuff that he wanted them to work on during summer workouts and stuff like that. So I really like the way that he's come in and just been very blatant and honest about Clemson's shortcomings on the defensive side of the ball and just confronting them head on, not shying away from it, not beating around the bush. He's just like, this was the problem, and this is what we're going to fix this season, right? Or this is what we're trying to currently fix right now. And you even you mentioned the Brent Venables thing, and Ben Boulware mentioned that as well, that it feels like not – and he did mention, to your point, that they are two very different coaches, but that level of intensity that he felt as a player when Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator is what he feels in the building now that Tom Allen has stepped in as the defensive coordinator. And, to your point, explaining the difference in offense and defense and level of intensity that you have to approach the game with, I think that's key in a defensive coordinator. Like, you have to have that intensity. You have to have that dog about you, if you will, on the defensive side of the ball. It's just a completely different mentality. Maybe outside of like offensive line, the offensive side of the ball is not really like that big, rah-rah, intense mentality, right? That tends to not be on the offensive side of the ball, right? Yeah. Maybe outside of the dudes in the trenches.
Which is why I think what Tyler Grisham does is so impressive, because he's very much he's going to get in your grill about things. And so, that's what I think. Just the taking on the personality of the defense, especially, takes on the personality of the person that's coaching them. 100%. And we saw that when Brent Venables was here, and we saw it when Wes Goodwin was the defensive coordinator. And I think if this defense takes on the personality of Tom Allen, I think we'll be okay. And that's the goal, and that's what they talked about, being the mindset going into this season, and the preparation and summer workouts, and of course that'll extend into fall camp. So Tom Allen obviously I think he was a great interview. Another, you mentioned Ben Boulware, and just, we talked about the things the on the field stuff and all of that, and talking about Tom Allen, but obviously he got really emotional, just talking about what it meant to play, to coach at his alma mater and get the opportunity. I think of the many guys that have come through the program, especially under Dabo Swinney. I mean, there's very few I would want to bring in to coach more than Ben Boulware. Just he represents a lot of what Clemson, especially under Dabo, has been about. I think he always was he just has a football mind. He was like that on the field, and that's what made him so great, despite his limitations as an athlete. And so, and he wasn't a poor athlete by any means, but he wasn't a guy that's going to light up the draft combine either. So yeah. I think that's I think it says a lot about what he was as a player, and obviously he's a Clemson legend, and a guy that became a champion, and a guy that was unheralded as a recruit. I mean, all of the things that he had to be in order to be a great player. I think he's a perfect guy to try to instill that into his players. And him talking about some of the guys that really stood out to him. He said that the praise he had for Jeremiah Alexander was really really nice to hear. Called him the hardest working kid he's ever been around. And I think that's instructive to kind of what we think about. We feel good about Wade Woodaz and Sammy Brown, of course, but obviously behind that you don't have a whole lot of guys that have played a ton of snaps. But Jeremiah Alexander, you brought him in for a reason. He's a very obvious answer in terms of a guy that you can plug in and use in different ways. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to see him. I mean, he should have been a Tiger to begin with, but I'm glad that he's here now. And so I thought the praise for him was really really nice. And I'm just excited to see the unknown about the linebacker room is probably it's less concerning than it is intriguing, because I do think you have some answers potentially behind your two starters.
Yeah, I agree. It was fun to kind of watch Ben Boulware get choked up there and then try to hype himself up out of it.
Yeah,
calling himself.
He tried to be tough. Yeah,
and try to be tough about it. It's okay, man. You can have feelings. We know. We got it. But that honestly, it was just a perfect example of how much this dude eats, breathes, and sleeps Clemson football. This guy is a Clemson guy through and through. His family, he mentioned that his granddad and pretty much everybody in his family has been involved with the university in some capacity, and that was truly his dream school. And not only did he get to play for his dream school, but he got to bring a national title for the first time in forever to his dream school. And now he's the linebackers coach at his dream school. I get the emotion there of just kind of that kind of sinking in that man, that's crazy. Because I'm sure as a kid, much like a lot of us, in the yard throwing the football or whatever, pretending like you're playing for whatever, the Super Bowl, the national, whatever the case may be. And then it all comes to fruition in full circle. And you're kind of sitting there as a 30-year-old man and you're like, wow, it all came true. Right. So more than I could ever imagine. So it's really cool. I just like the intensity of Ben Boulware. And the one thing that and I know Dabo's been criticized for bringing in ex-players as coaches before. Ben Boulware's just different to me. I don't think it's the same thing. And the biggest reason that I feel that way and that I'm so confident that he will be a successful coach is the way that he prepared as a player. the amount of film that he watched, the amount of extra stuff that he just tried to do to maximize. Because as you mentioned, he was athletic, but he was also limited. Like, he didn't have the biggest frame. He wasn't the fastest, right? So instead of being able to kind of lean on all those physical traits that he didn't have, he didn't shy away from that. He just like, well, I'm just going to prepare better than anybody else. So I'm going to know exactly what's going to come so that I can react quicker than anybody else and get a jump on it because I'm not fast, right? And I think that transitions into coaching really well, right? Out like all these physical traits, that doesn't translate into coaching, right? But the mental stuff and the extra work that he had to do as a player to be as good as he was, and to even play in the NFL, the little bit that he did get to play, right? Whether it's practice squad or whatever, doesn't matter. You made it there, right? Like you were practicing in the NFL.
You're the 1% of the 1%, right?
Yeah,
there. Like,
I mean, you made it there. Like most people don't even get that shot, much less have a career in the NFL. And the reason that he did was all the extra work that he did, all the tape watching, all the just the stuff outside of the physical part. And I think that just transitions to coaching in a big way. And I think that's why I'm 100% confident that Ben Boulware will be a successful linebackers coach at Clemson.
100%. And, it felt like, things were there were guys in the building. There was a mindset in the building that, this defense has been missing for the last few years. And so, between him and I liked hearing from Tom Allen Jr., who I think is going to be a really underrated part of this whole operation because he's going to serve a ton of different roles within this defense, obviously in his analyst position, but he's very much a football mind himself, obviously being considering who his dad is.
And I want people to don't make the mistake to think that he's just there because he's Tom Allen's son. He is a qualified person to be in those rooms.
Yes, and you can hear him, and you hear, and it's instructive when you hear just from the other coaches that bring him up, without being asked about him. They're like, oh man, yeah, Tom Allen Jr. He's been Carson Kramer mentioned him during his interview. I thought that was really interesting because Carson Kramer, he's a strength guy. Came in with Garrett Riley from TCU. Like you're not really expecting him to rave about an analyst, but it says a ton of what the what he's going to bring to this defense as well, and just behind the scenes. So the amount of brain trust, defensive brain trust that has been brought in. I mean, hell, I haven't even mentioned Mike Houston, who was recently let go from ECU, but has been an accomplished defensive coach for a really long time. Is now in the building and basically working for free almost, and given he's giving an advisory role and it's really, really cool to see all of the amount of people that Clemson has brought into this, to the program and the amount of outside perspectives and but qualified outside perspectives that I think this program needed.
Yeah, Dabo's certainly done some work in diversifying his staff and bringing in a lot of experience, right?
Yep.
And that was something that was an ingredient, if you will, that was missing just a few short years ago, right? So I mean, it's the names you just keep rattling off like it's crazy that those dudes are in the building. Shout out to other schools for fitting those salaries for us.
Oh yeah.
So we can get free coaching. Appreciate that.
100%. And so I was really fired up just hearing the defensive guys, especially. I thought Nick Easton gave a great interview too. Got to hear from Chris Rump. I listened to his soundbite about Marcus Dixon and kind of how his transition has gone from tight end to defensive end, and how he's taken everything in stride. And he said his words were, "I dropped him in the grease immediately."
That's right.
And if you can take what I'm dishing out, then you're going to be a really good football player. So
baptized by fire. By Chris Rumpf. Nick Easton looks like
he always has these catchphrases. Like when you listen to him talk, he always has these sayings, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. He's always got some interesting phrases that I always look forward to his interviews, because there's always going to be one or two phrases that kind of stick with me coming out of his interviews. But talking about Nick Easton, he had a great interview, by the way, and he looks like he's trying to work himself back into playing shape. Like,
I know
that's what he got going on.
Skinny Easton, man.
I need to get on that Nick Easton workout plan. Like, man,
it's impressive, man.
It is impressive.
And that's what we talked about when he was hired, and kind of what, and especially after his first year, we talked about how what he brought to the defensive tackle room. I mean, he sets the example for his players. I mean, you remember him doing the mat drills and all of that, I think this offseason, one of the things was you had some guys that weren't in the best playing shape. But, Peter Woods gained weight, and DeMonte Capehart wasn't always healthy. And Nick Easton working on his body, I think it's translated to his players too. Have you seen Peter Woods?
Yeah, I mean, that dude looks like a specimen right now.
Yeah, he looks like a freak.
That's terrifying if you're an offensive lineman and that dude's lining up across from you. Best believe that. But yeah, it does. And I mean, when you're committed in that way, it allows you to hold your players accountable even more. Not that you can't already, right? Because you are the coach and you should be able to hold your players accountable. But there's just a little added extra motivation, I feel like, for your players when you're living it out in front of them as well. And you're like, hey, if I'm doing it, you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I can take care of my body and, all this stuff, you can do it as well, right? So I think that rings true with the guys in this room. And it's clear Peter Woods is in probably the best shape that I've seen him in since he's been at Clemson. I'm looking forward to the weigh-ins to kind of see a couple of these guys and what their numbers are at. I talked, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, Ben Boulware posting on Twitter all the, body fat losses and muscle gains that his linebackers have been doing. There's definitely a renewed level of intensity on people taking care of their body and getting into elite shape so that they can play their max amount of snaps. And that's going to be important for this defensive line this year, right? Like guys like DeMonte Capehart and Peter Woods and those guys, like being able to play a high level of snaps. And that takes being in elite shape. And it seems like they've gotten that box checked this offseason.
Exactly. And yeah, they've led by example. I mean, it definitely, like, they're saying all the right things, but you're seeing proof that they're actually living it out right now. And that's important. And you want that to translate into the season, because if Clemson is going to have the season that we think this team can have, it's going to take everything that they've talked about, because they have the pieces, man. I mean, this is not a defense hurting for talent. So, and they weren't hurting for talent last year. So, but it's about mindset. It's about preparation. It's about your process and how you do things. And they've completely overhauled their process. And you're seeing the results already before they've even played a snap. So, you still got to translate to the field.
Yeah,
you can do all of that, but you still got to go out and do it when the lights are on. And of course, week one is going to be very instructive for how far this group is coming.
Oh yeah. And I love it. Like, big test, week one. What you got, defense? What are you going to be about? Right? Are you going to be able to stop the run? Are you going to be able to affect the quarterback? Is all this work and all this talk that you've had this offseason, is it gonna come to fruition on the field, right? And I think it will. But let's shift gears and give the offense a little bit of love. Obviously, we heard from multiple offensive coaches. I'm gonna start with one of my favorite, the O-line, man. Like Matt Luke, I love that dude, man. I like hearing him talk about his players. I like hearing him talk about football. He's just a cool dude,
Oh,
and his recruiting has been off the charts. We've been talking about that a ton on the channel, but getting to talk finally about the guys that are in his room, and just talking about how comfortable he is with those guys, and everybody's going to be healthy come fall camp, which is amazing. Everybody's going to be a full go. I know we had quite a few guys on the offensive line miss spring, but everybody was a full go during summer conditioning, and everybody's going to be a full go on fall camp. So I'm really excited to see the next step that this offensive line can take. People like Tristan Lay, this is your money year, right? Like this is the last year to put positive tape out there to get your draft stock as high as you can get it, right? Same thing for
Blake Miller.
Blake Miller, thank you, on the other side of the offensive line, right? His last chance to get that positive tape out there, and Ryan Lithicum, is he going to take that next step coming back as the second-year starter at center? He talked about Harris Sewell and how he would be the first in if he needed snaps, if Ryan Lithicum had to come out for any reason. So I'm just really excited. Thought he had a great interview, and just I'm glad that we finally, I feel like we have the offensive line coach in the country right now, and I'm hoping we can keep him around for as long as possible, because I can't wait to see the offensive lines that will continuously be created in this Clemson offense. It's been a point of weakness, I think, for this team for a long time. Even in our national championship runs, we had some good offensive lines. We've never had elite offensive line play.
No.
And I think that will change under Matt Luke.
Yeah, I mean, and you're seeing the caliber of player that he's starting to bring in. It started last year. Braden Jacobs is a guy that could play for anybody, and I'm excited to see how he kind of works his way in as a true freshman. Don't think he'll start, but you feel like he can add to the depth that I feel like you haven't had in quite some time, and that's kind of the vibe I get when I hear Matt Luke talk about his guys. They truly feel like for the first time they have functional depth at multiple positions, and that's more than you would have been able to say, especially in recent years. You feel excited about the young talent that you've brought in, but you also are comfortable with where your starters are at. You mentioned the guys in their money, or Tristan Lay, I think, or Tristan Lee is a guy that I think has a lot of. I think he has another step he can take. I mean, I think he was solid last year. He had his moments where he had his moments. As a first-year starter, he had been sitting in the program, had to, his being a former 5-star, his path to playing time wasn't the conventional one. For a guy with his recruiting caliber, but I think there's another step he can take. And Blake Miller too. I mean, who has been a stalwart, and he's been that guy since he basically got on campus. And now he has legitimate first round aspirations. If he's going to get there, he's got to take that maybe another jump and also stay healthy, which he's done a good job at, but he's also played through injuries too.
Yes.
Walker Parks is a guy that talk about playing through injuries. That's basically
been playing football, honestly.
Yeah.
It's crazy that he's able to play.
Yeah. Which is why it's so important that you have the functional depth, because who knows if he'll be able to play through the rigors of an entire season, and without any sort of thing that limits him. So just having guys that can play multiple positions. You saw Elijah Thurman who, from what I can tell, his rehab is going really well, and you'll be able to get him back sooner rather than later. And he'll be obviously one of the guys that'll factor into the depth. You mentioned Harris Sewell, who can play center, who can play guard. Colin Sadler can slide. It can come in at guard. You have a lot of guys. You have some of the younger guys. Mason Wade is a guy that you keep hearing about. And I feel really excited about him. He was a late add that you got from over Virginia Tech. That I think is going to end up being a really, really good player for you. And I already mentioned Braden Jacobs as a true freshman. Like you have answers for when guys go out, and that's a very comforting feeling that you just haven't had in quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. I got high hopes for this version of the Clemson offensive line in year 2 under Matt Luke. We saw the quick dividends of year 1, and I expect another step in year 2. And listening to Matt Luke talk to the media and field questions, he feels the same way that the offensive line will take that next step this season. So I'm excited, and I just love his mentality at offensive line. He was asked a couple questions about more passing than running, more running than passing, and he's like, look, kind of in reference to the Texas game last year, where the offensive line was kind of put in a tough position because they knew we couldn't run, and it's really hard with an elite defensive line like that when they know they can pin their ears back and come after you. That's a tough task as an offensive line. But I just love Matt Luke's attitude about it is like, there's no excuses. Whatever we're asked to do, that's what we should be able to go out there and do, regardless of the circumstances. So I love that mentality. Talking about Tyler Grisham, a guy that has been criticized in past years by Clemson fans about the wide receiver room and the lack of development there sometimes, the lack of production. And it seems that he's kind of really, really turned this wide receiver room around. And now you're looking at like kind of a 6 deep of wide receivers that are really, really, really good. And you got this great problem of how do we get everybody the amount of touches that they deserve, right? Yeah. Which is a great problem to have. And they're obviously headlined by Antonio Williams, and I expect him to have a monster year. And then the other interesting one is obviously Tyler Brown coming off of a solid year of injury. Like I feel like his career is just tracking like right behind Antonio Williams, right?
Yeah,
they're kind of mirrors of each other, and hopefully he can have that breakout after that, after a year of injury, much like Antonio Williams did. But thoughts on Tyler Grisham and that wide receiver room, Jordan?
Yeah, man. You can't talk about this Clemson team enough without mentioning this wide receiver room. And you mentioned the criticisms that Tyler Grisham faced over the years. I mean, I really do think that he's come into his own in a lot of ways as a coach, as a recruiter. I mean, you see what he's put together in this 2026 recruiting class. You're excited about the future of the room, what he was able to land a couple cycles ago, of course, with Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore. Like this room this room is in the best place it's been in a long time. And I think you have to give him a ton of credit just for what he's brought. I mean, even really when he first started, I mean, it was mostly his recruits that were the ones doing the producing. They just, they tailed off after their freshman year, and you were wondering, okay, is he going to be able to get guys in and get them to be able to play at a high level later in their career? And I definitely think that the room that he stepped into was not the Clemson wide receiver rooms of old, and that certainly didn't help. But I think he did grow a ton, and he's a guy that has a bright future in this profession. And it's probably taken some longer than others to see the vision, but I'm on board, man. I think he's comfortable in his role. He's entrenched in his role, and if this room plays to the level that we think they can, I mean, it's only going to be another feather in his cap when he goes out on the trail in future cycles. So just really excited about this group, and the fact that, they weren't, arrogant to the point where they still were willing to bring in a transfer to help bolster that depth it says a lot, and it's a transfer that I think could pay some pretty high dividends for you. And so I'm just excited about this group. It's not just the talent on display, but the diversity of skill set that they have. And you have guys that can play in multiple different roles, and they can be threats underneath. They can be threats over the middle. They can be threats deep. You just have you guys that can make contested back shoulder catches, guys that you can give the ball out to in space on a screen or a reverse, and they can make plays with the ball in their hands. It's a very, very complete room, and I'm just excited to see them. I just can't wait to see him out on the field, especially with who they got throwing in the ball. And Tyler Grisham seems to feel the same way. And he's like, well, we don't really have starters. We don't. That's not the mindset we have with this group, especially. And I think that tells you a lot about how they feel about this group and how all of them can play. I mean, when you feel like Cole Turner is your fifth or sixth best receiver, I mean, in years past, he would have been your second or third. And I think that says a lot about how far this room has come and how good this group actually is.
Yeah, it's going to be a great group. I truly believe that it's going to be reminiscent of old Clemson wide receiver rooms where you just got guy after guy out there, and it's very tough for the defense to key on one because you got somebody on the other side that's going to burn you up just as much. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited that it seems that Tyler Grisham has figured it out, right? And as you mentioned, come into his own. I think he got fair criticism, and some of it was unfair because, as you mentioned, he did inherit a room that was not exactly up to the Clemson standard. We'll just put it that way. But a couple more coaches to get into. Obviously, the leader of the offense, Garrett Riley, had an interview and was asked several questions about the offense and kind of his philosophy as he's kind of just, grown as the Clemson offensive coordinator over the past couple seasons. Now he's in his third year and a little bit more comfortable. I think he appears more comfortable. He appears just to kind of trust the guys more. Talked about the relationship that he has with Cade Klubnik and how important that is with the offensive coordinator and the quarterback to have that really close relationship. And I think he trusts Cade immensely. We put out that video last week. Does he need to trust Cade more? And hearing some of his comments, I think Cade's going to have the keys to the offense this coming season. I think this offense is going to go as Cade Klubnik goes. And that's how it is in college football when it comes to your quarterback position, right? I liked some of his comments about, establishing an identity early and knowing who you are and just, kind of figuring out what you do best and doing that, right? So I like some of that, but your thoughts on Garrett Riley's interview and kind of just the direction of the offense, according to our OC.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that they feel they have a really, really strong group, and he definitely had that calm. I mean, he's very much not going to be super expressive and be like and rave about guys, but he just you can tell the quiet confidence that he has about what he has and what he feels like he has, and I'm excited to see it and play out on the field and how it actually comes together. Obviously we'll talk about it, but the run game is really the biggest question. But you feel like you have the offensive line, you have the guys that can do it, and you have the options at back. Yeah, it's just a matter of who really takes the reins. And then obviously Adam Randall got a ton of praise. And we'll talk when we talk about Dabo's interview, but they feel like they have all the pieces they need, and that's kind of the gist of what I got from Garrett Riley, and he had some really, really good praise for Cade and kind of where his relationship with him is at. They just kind of there's a different level of trust than there was before, and we talked about this last week. Has the trust level between Garrett Riley and Cade Klubnik gotten to that level where where you want it as for a quarterback in his fourth year and in his third year in the system, should be. And so, that was really, really encouraging to hear. He was like, yeah, I mean, Cade, says things before I even get a chance to say them. I mean, he basically knows, what I'm going to tell him, what I'm thinking. And that's it. And they have a really strong relationship, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
With your coordinator and your quarterback. I mean, if they're on the same page, chances are, it keeps everybody else on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel really confident about, kind of the direction of where this offense is heading. And anytime you have that closeness, like Garrett Riley and Cade Klubnik have, that's going to spell positive things for on the field. Because essentially he's thinking like his offensive coordinator who's calling the plays on the field, right? And that's always a good thing and usually translates to really good decision-making. And that's something that Cade has improved on year over year and expect to have another jump in his senior year, his final year, his money year, like a lot of the Clemson players this season. It's a common thread throughout this roster is it's their money year, right? It's their NFL year. And Cade Klubnik is one of those guys as well, that this is his last audition to get his draft stock as high as he possibly can for the NFL. And then I guess last we'll talk about is the running back room. It's CJ Spiller and the he's got his hands full, right? There's a lot of unknown in the running back room right now. Obviously, Adam Randall moved over, and Dabo had high praise for Adam Randall and basically told the media and anybody that was listening, like, hey, this is going to be one of the great stories in college football, Adam Randall, of just perseverance and keeping your head down and continuing to grind and being a team player. And, he expects Adam Randall to have a big season. That's what he communicated to the media this week. So, with that and hearing some of the things that the coaches are saying about Adam Randall, I'm excited to see him. It sounds like he is translated to the running back room very well. Obviously, Dabo mentioned that, this is not the first time he's played running back, right? Played some running back, obviously, before he arrived at Clemson. So it's not all new to him. So, and then you got a lot of guys behind him, right? You got Gideon Davison, you got Eazy-E, you got Jay Haynes when he finally gets back. And it sounds like his recovery is trending in the right direction and that he will be a participant in fall camp and he'll just kind of be on a pitch count, right? Him and Ari, I think, were the only two that were kind of mentioned as a pitch count entering fall camp, but everybody else is healthy and a full go, which is exciting. And that running back room, I think fall camp's going to go a long way in kind of figuring out where the depth's going to shake out. Where's that pecking order in the running back room? Right now, I feel pretty confident that obviously Adam Randall's going to run out there first. The question is, where's that pecking order fall behind him?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be the story with this team. I mean, when everything else is kind of secondary. I mean, we could talk about some of the other less pertinent concerns, but this is the one that it's like, okay, what are we going to get from this group? And I mean, the reviews of Adam Randall coming out of spring have been very, very telling about how they feel. But it's got to translate to the field. And that's the ultimate question with him, because he definitely looked the part against Texas in the limited opportunities he got. Obviously that big run was very much a kind of an eye-opening moment. I mean, he got to showcase some of his contact balance, breaking that arm tackle from the safety, and then he was moving, man. Yeah, I mean, we've never been. I mean, Adam Randall can run. That's never been a problem for him. I mean, he's the guy has legit speed, and at that size, I mean, he's going to be. I mean, the logic says that's a tough guy to bring down in the open field, and if you can get him those opportunities, it's going to be instructive. And him having a full offseason to truly learn what his responsibilities are in this offense is a big thing, because that Texas game, they really didn't get to. I mean, they didn't really get to do much with him. I mean, they reps a few run plays. They got him up to speed on that, and that was it. They couldn't really give him too much more because they just didn't have the time.
Right.
So what he has with a full offseason of truly being the running back in this offense, and what his responsibilities are in this version of the Garrett Riley offense. It's going to be, the expectation should be that he's acclimated and he's fully prepared to be the best version of himself at running back. So I'm excited to see it, man.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're running out there as RB1, I expect you to be a Clemson level RB1, right? Like we ain't going to go into this season with the excuse, oh, he was a wide receiver last year. No, man, that's out the window now. You already had the off season. Now the expectations are what they are, right? If you're going to be running back one at Clemson, that comes with some lofty expectations.
Yeah.
We've had some great ones roll through here. So,
and you haven't had many years where running back wasn't
solid.
Very good.
Yeah. I mean, you've kind of been solid for, I mean, when's the last time Clemson was kind of rocky at running back?
Yeah.
It's been a while, right? So that expectation is going to be there, and I'm sure Adam Randall understands that. And there will be no slack cut by the fan base or the rest of college football because he was a wide receiver. It'll be a great story, if he goes out there and kills it. And from all talk and expectations and returns from the coaching staff, it seems that he has made that transition in a big way. So I'm excited to see him, and really excited about this team. And obviously, last coach, we'll talk about Jordan before we move on from the Clemson Media Day, because got a couple other things to get into tonight. Is obviously Dabo Swinney's interview. He rounded out the day as he always does. So we heard from all the position coaches. We heard from Clemson front office staff like Kelly and Jordan Soros and all those guys. But it was obviously rounded out with head coach Dabo Swinney and his comments to the media. I think he talked to the media for roughly about an hour. I think his interview was, which is typical.
Shortest Dabo Swinney interview
of Dabo Swinney. He's got to at least hit that 45-minute to an hour mark with the media every single time, unless somebody chewing him away for another engagement. But what were your thoughts on Dabo and just kind of how he came in? What'd you think of the comments that he made and kind of his outlook on the 2025 version of the Clemson Tigers?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely feel his excitement for this group. One of the things that obviously he emphasized was just the how good they are from a health standpoint. I mean, how many years in the last few years have we felt kind of iffy about where Clemson was from an injury standpoint? I mean, you really don't have many guys that are dealing with much. I mean, Jay Haynes, of course, is rehabbing, but he seems to be expected to be ready to go for fall camp. Like you said, on a pitch count. Elijah Thurman's coming back from injury, and he seems to be in a really good place. Obviously, Ari Watford and Logan Anderson are two true freshmen that are dealing with injuries, but you don't expect either of them to factor in this year anyway. So I think this group is, I mean, knock on wood, I mean, this group is still in a really, really good place. And you felt that from him and kind of his excitement for where this team is. And it's all about, it's got to translate to the field. I mean, I keep saying it. It's got to, you got to show it on the field, and that's That's ultimately what it's going to be about for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big thing that I took away from Dabo Swinney, he was relaxed, right? He was relaxed. He was having fun. He was cracking jokes. He was telling stories, taking pictures of the media before the press conference began. It seems like that he is enjoying the staff that he has put together.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at he just seems rejuvenated, relaxed, confident, feels really good about his team, obviously. But as good as he feels about his team, I think he feels better about his staff right now. I think he's very happy with the moves that he has made on his coaching staff and the experience that he's brought in. And I think it's making certain aspects of his job easier and more enjoyable now that he doesn't have to maybe stretch himself as thin as he probably was when his staff was a little bit more inexperienced and needed a little bit more mentorship than his current staff. He's got a lot of former head coaches on staff right now, guys that have done it at a high level that can help him in a lot of ways, because being the head coach of a college football program right now, man, like it's like none other. And it has evolved, and there's a lot more things that you're responsible for that you didn't used to be responsible for. So, yeah, that's my excitement, and that's where I think some of that calmness and that excitement is coming from Dabo Swinney is definitely his staff, but obviously the players as well. Clemson has a very good roster entering 2025, and should health prevail and certain things go our way, it should be a pretty big season for the Clemson Tigers. But I'm excited. I'm excited about ACC Media Days coming up. I'm excited about fall camp kicking off on the 31st. Football is getting ever so close, Jordan, and I cannot wait until August 31st when we're kicking it off versus LSU in Death Valley for a night game. That's going to be something special.
Oh yeah, man. I guess really the only thing that I didn't care for during Dabo's interview was him talking about punter. I mean, you just.
Oh yeah, we have to hit on that before we let the media day conversation go.
Yeah.
He basically laid it out there. He said, "I didn't go get a punter in the portal. I think we're going to be just fine. And if I'm wrong, basically you guys can come after me. So be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for.
This Clemson fan base can be they can get a little testy when things don't go our way. So let's hope that Jack Smith's got it, and he's gonna find the consistency that has eluded him up to this point.
Yeah, man. We'll see, man. We will see.
Yeah.
Obviously the hope is that you're not punting too much this year. So
that's right. I guess
that's the silver lining. If the offense is as good as we think it can be, then you won't be punting all that much, but you still want to have that in your back pocket, I guess. So we'll see. He's more confident than I am.
He's much more confident than I think any of us are, specifically on the punting game. Hey, I'm with you with the rest of the team. The punter situation, I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not there on that one, but it remains to be seen. He's vouching for it, so we shall see. But we will come a calling if it don't work out.
Oh yeah,
no doubt about that.
He told us what to do if it don't. So
he told us we could. So he can't yell at us this time and say that we're being ungrateful. Okay, he told us we could. You heard that, Tyler from Spartanburg. He said you could.
He said you could do it. You call him.
Do it. But yeah, we'll go ahead and leave that there. We could go on for another hour about Clemson Media Days and all the stuff that came out, but we'll go ahead and leave that there. We have 37 people in the live chat right now. For all of you that are in there, if you did not know, the Voice of College Football has an official website. That's right. The Voice of College Football has our very own website. You see it right there on your screen. The Voice of College Football, no offseason, vocfb.com, vocfb.com. Go over there, create an account. We got tons of information over there, tons of articles over there about all different types of teams. It's not just Clemson over there. It's all the teams. Our live schedules there in the left-hand corner. You see we got different forums and channels and all the various shows on there. But go over there, create an account, read some of the articles. Let us know what you think about the new website. And we appreciate you going over there and showing us some love. All right, Jordan. One of the Clemson greats has officially called it a football career, retiring from the Los Angeles Chargers, where he spent majority of his career, and that is none other than Mike Williams. This dude lives rent-free in every South Carolina fan's head. This guy lives rent-free in every Alabama fan's head because of that final drive that brought home the first national title in 30 years or whatever it was. Mike Williams, one of the greats, man. Tough guy. Just a fun guy to watch. Go up and get any ball. You get it in vicinity of Mike Williams, he's going to go up and get it, regardless of without regard, I should say, to his body or what is going to happen to him after he catches the ball. One of my favorite wide receivers of all time at Clemson. He's in a long list of great wide receivers at Clemson, but he is certainly well within that list of great ones to ever lace it up for the Tigers. So your thoughts on Mike Williams? Had a great career at Clemson, also had a very good career in the NFL. But your kind of thoughts on his retirement and, just kind of showing him some love for all the stuff that he did for Clemson and obviously representing us well in the NFL during his career as well.
Yeah, it was very somber just seeing that news would come on my feed. Today it kind of puts things in perspective. I mean, not just that he's retiring, but he was in the league 8 years, man. Like it's crazy. It's been that long. It doesn't. We're getting old.
Mike Williams been gone from Clemson that long?
Yeah, man. It's
crazy.
It's crazy. It feels like he was, just here. And he's had a full career, way longer than most have. It puts things in perspective. But I think for his career, I think he had a outstanding career, especially given the circumstances, the injuries he dealt with over the years.
Yep.
To be one of the more productive wide receivers in the league for a good long time. I mean, it says a lot. I'm just, it's sad because it's going to be. I'm not used to him not being in the league and being one of the top receivers in the game, and you're not going to see him. Just reminiscing over his time at Clemson, obviously one of the best to ever do it. It's bar none. I mean, one of the most fun players to watch at Clemson. Just just his knack to come down with any catch,
any ball.
It was a cheat code. I mean, especially with Watson throwing him the ball. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I wish he could have had his. It felt like his career was short. When he was here, obviously, just because he spent most of the year, most of his sophomore year gone. When he had that neck injury. So, it felt like he was here and gone in an instant, and now it feels like his career has come and gone in an instant. Even though it's been between those 2 years, it's been 11 years. Those two careers, it's been 11 years, and it makes you feel old. It makes you feel as a man. That's one of he's one of the greats, and now he's calling it quits. I mean, I'm interested to see what his next step is. Maybe hey, listen, if you want to bring him back into the fold, if he ever wants to come back, I won't be against that. Give him something to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be down with it. I mean, he's a state of South Carolina kid, and
there's always jobs within the Clemson football program and the facility down there that he could obviously do.
Yeah, if he wants to.
If he wants to. Who knows what his plans are? But he's certainly one of the greats, man. I didn't expect this news. I don't know, like, if I just didn't hear something, but this was pretty unexpected, I think, by all parties involved, including the LA Chargers, I think. Yeah. But obviously he's shutting it down for, some reason. And obviously it's the injuries that really shortened Mike Williams' career. I mean, I truly think that he could have been a Hall of Fame guy if, injuries didn't shorten his career and kind of compromise his body, both at Clemson and in the NFL as well. So, but he did have a great career at Clemson. He had a great career in the NFL. Nothing to be ashamed of. 8 years in the NFL is a feat that not very many people achieve. Finishing his Clemson career with 2,700 yards and finishing his NFL career with over 5,100 yards. So that's a feat in and of itself. Favorite plays from Mike Williams. The one that's constantly on repeat in my mind is the play where Deshaun Watson throws it across the middle and that poor Carolina DB jumps on his back and just had no idea that he was about to go for a ride all the way to the end zone.
Man.
One of my favorite plays from Mike Williams, obviously, of that 2016 season. And then you think of the huge grab in that final drive in the national championship. They got finished off with Hunter Renfrow catching the touchdown pass. But when he goes up on the sideline and just kind of one hands and snatches that ball out of the air, without that play, Clemson doesn't get down there with the opportunity to score a touchdown, right?
Yeah, man.
That's one example of how pivotal he was in that Clemson offense and how much of a big deal he was, and pretty much unguardable because there's nothing the DB could have done in either of those situations that I just mentioned, just those two plays alone that they could have done any differently. It was just the will of Mike Williams to complete those plays. So I'm excited for him because I hope that he's at peace with his decision. I hope he wasn't forced into this decision. I hope it was, like every other NFL player or professional athlete, you hope that they get to decide when they shut it down and they're not forced to. So hopefully this was his decision. He came to the realization that he was done. And I wish him well for whatever he's going to do after. If it's coming back home to Tiger Town, hey, we welcome him with open arms. If it's something else, I wish him well in that as well. But just want to, I don't know that he'll ever see this video, but thank him for the very fond memories that he gave all of us Clemson Tiger fans.
Yeah, certainly a favorite of mine. And just interested to see what his next step in life is and what he chooses to do. But hey, if he wants to come back and to Clemson in some capacity, that hey, I'm all for it. So
all for it.
It's been an interesting week for Clemson receivers because obviously yesterday Justin Ross got waived by the Chiefs. So kind of a somber day for the wide receiver days of Clemson. But I. Obviously, Justin's story certainly was honestly a more extreme version of Mike's in a lot of ways. And
that was you didn't know if he was going to be able to play football, and then obviously went and had that surgery and came back, but never really pre-neck injury. Justin Ross was unstoppable, and he's never kind of been able to regain himself since that injury, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, listen, he got his opportunity. He got his opportunity in the league, and
like I said, he even as much as he's been kind of bounced around a little bit and on practice squad and then on the game squad or on the 52-man roster, he's been bounced around a couple of times. He's had a longer NFL career than a lot of players, than most players. So nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah. So shout out to Mike Williams.
Yep.
And best of luck in retirement. And hey, Tiger Town is always home, and he's always got a place here.
Always welcome. Doors always open. No doubt about that.
We're not spokespeople for the program, but I'm sure they feel the same way.
Yeah. I guarantee you Dabo would find something for Mike Williams to do if he called. No doubt about that. I feel very confident in that. All right, guys, make sure you're following the Voice of College Football on all the socials. That includes Twitter, that's up on the screen right now. The Voice of College Football Network, that's the name on Twitter. Go over there, give us a follow. And then also, let me pull up the other one here, Twitter and Instagram as well. Pull up the Instagram for you guys. Right there, the Instagram page right there, the Voice of College Football Network as well over there. VOCFB.com is our webpage. So go give us a follow on all the socials, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Give us a follow on all of our socials, trying to grow those social media platforms. And your help with that would be greatly appreciated. Got 39 people in the live chat right now. If you have not done so already, please hit that like button for us. Get us as close to 40 likes as possible, and consider subscribing. Me and Jordan do this show year-round, every Thursday, 7 p.m. We also do post-game live videos following each and every Clemson game, and we'll be doing some special interviews coming up. So that sounds like something you want to be a part of. Hit that subscribe button and consider making us one of your stops for college football. All right, Jordan, last topic of the night. We obviously could not go through this show without bringing up SEC Media Days, since apparently Clemson lives rent-free at SEC Media Days. I mean, are we a part of the SEC now with as much as we get taught? No, I'm just kidding. But Lane Kiffin, none other than Lane Kiffin, the troll of the SEC, the troll of head coaches of college football, the viral Twitter sensation, Lane Kiffin, part-time college football coach, full-time internet troll, had some interesting comments about our Clemson Tigers, referenced a quote-unquote SEC coach that communicated to him that he would rather play Clemson every week than an SEC schedule. So that's interesting. Obviously, he's still bitter about Ole Miss being left out of the playoffs, Clemson being one of those teams that took a spot as the ACC champion. But yeah, your thoughts on Lane Kiffin's comments? I thought they were interesting. I thought they were funny. It's typical Lane Kiffin behavior, honestly. None of it should surprise you if you watch Lane Kiffin at all. But I figured we couldn't end the show tonight without at least talking about it a little bit. So we'll give the troll Lane Kiffin a little bit of attention tonight, if you will. So Jordan, your thoughts?
Yeah, Lane is always trying to stir the pot. That's just kind of what he is. He's been like that his entire career, coaching career. So it's kind of one of those things where you kind of roll your eyes and you move on. But in terms of the comments, listen, I don't think they're all under whatever SEC coach said that. And I do want to point out
three possible schools.
It
Texas or South Carolina. So those are your three options.
But I do want to point out that he said coach and not head coach. So hey, it could be a head coach. It could be anything from a head coach to a coordinator to a support staffer or a position coach. You don't really know. But you can speculate on who it might have been from, but ultimately, I don't think it was all, unfounded. I mean, it's not a secret that Clemson in the last few years, it felt like they got softer obviously the line, just the play on the lines of scrimmage. Even on the defensive line, you saw the play tail off last year. And so, hey, listen, there's a lot of great line of scrimmage play in the SEC, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree, depending on which team it came from, of course. But hey, listen, I would want to play Clemson if I saw that Clemson is giving up 300 rushing yards to the Citadel. Hey, give me that,
So run on that defense all day.
Yeah. So I whoever said that, I don't think they were unfounded. I mean, if there even was someone that said that, maybe Lane Kiffin is just speaking his mind, but pretending someone else.
He quite possibly just made that up.
Yeah, he could have just made that up.
There is that possibility that he just completely.
I wouldn't put it behind. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. That's another thing to consider. But listen, Clemson has to. They have to earn their respect back. I mean, that's another big part of why this year is so important, because they aren't the standard that you could have argued several years ago that it was Alabama and Clemson was right there as the standard in college football. You're not. You are a ways away from that now, and you have a team that could potentially get you back into that conversation, but you still got to do it. And when it comes time to play to these teams, the SEC teams especially, who it basically every time you hear someone talk about Clemson, if they make a point, they lost to 3 SEC teams last year.
Yeah, they got a 3-game losing streak to the SEC.
Yeah, you want to shut that up. You got to go win those games. It starts with week 1. You got to go beat your rival, and you got to take care of business, because that's the reality. I didn't take too much from Lane Kiffin's comments. Like I saw a lot of fans go up in arms and trash talk him. It's like, well, you're at Ole Miss, and look at who you lost to, and all that. But hey, I wouldn't have wanted to play Ole Miss last year. I would be straight up with you. I don't think Clemson would have beat Ole Miss last year. Just because, especially when you consider, how poor you were, defending the run. And listen, Lane Kiffin's going to run the ball.
Offensively, we were good enough, but I don't know about
offensively. Yeah,
I mean, it would have turned into a shootout probably.
Potentially, yeah. And listen, Ole Miss's defense was very good last year. So I mean, you would have had your problems on that side of the ball too. So and I guess it probably depends on when you play them. If it was like beginning of the year, I definitely wouldn't like Clemson's chances in that game. But of course, the offense that showed up against Texas, I think, could put points on Ole Miss. So it just
offense that showed up then could put points on anybody.
Really. On anybody, but defensively, yeah, it's not good. So, but I say all that to say that you've earned the kind of the ridicule that you've gotten. And
I welcome it, man. I enjoy it. I like it because guess what? If you're not relevant, then no one's going to be talking about you. They're not even going to trash talk you if you're not relevant. Yeah. So clearly, Clemson's living rent-free in Lane Kiffin's head so much that he's got to mention us in SEC Media Days. Yeah. So thank you, Lane Kiffin, for the free fodder that inevitably Clemson will use as motivation, because every team presented with that opportunity will use stuff like that as motivation. But to your point, Jordan, it's not all unwarranted, right? Clemson has earned the shots that have been taken at them because of their lack of production over the past few years.
Hey, and the two common opponents that Clemson Ole Miss had, Clemson was 0-2, Ole Miss was 2-0. They beat South Carolina and they beat Georgia.
Yeah. So
take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. So I love when stuff like this comes out about Clemson. It makes me laugh. 1, 2, it's free fuel for the team, right? Because they're going to see it, they're going to use it, they're going to take it as disrespect, and that's going to be a motivating factor. And it's always nice to have free fuel, right? Just to kind of give a little added boost. And it's Lane Kiffin, dude. Like, he does this all the time. It's not just Clemson. Like, he does this all the time. He trolls all sorts of people online. Like I said, part-time college football coach, full-time online troll. But you could always schedule us out of conference, Lane, if it means that much to you. I'm sure Clemson would entertain the idea of a home-and-home series with Ole Miss. That'd actually be pretty cool, by the way, if we could make that happen. That'd be really cool. But, again, I don't think this kind of stuff is a big deal. I don't think it's anything to get up in arms about. It's fun to get on social media and talk trash back and forth and, make fun of Lane Kiffin for some of the gaffes that he's had throughout his career. But at the end of the day, this don't mean anything, because come August 31st, it's time to lace it up, and it's only thing that's going to matter is what you do on the field. And Clemson's got all the opportunity in the world this year. They got to go out there and capitalize. And if they go out there and capitalize and do the things that this team is capable of doing, none of those comments will matter, nor will they be relevant anymore, because you would have righted all those things that they were taking jabs at. So all the cards are in Clemson's hands. It don't matter what Lane Kiffin thinks of Clemson. His opinion doesn't really matter.
No.
So that's where I'm at with it. But shout out to Lane Kiffin. Appreciate the love at SEC Media Days. Maybe we'll be at SEC Media Days one year. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
We'll see. I'm just kidding. All right, guys, make sure you're catching Clemson live on all your favorite audio streaming platforms: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast. Search Clemson Live, give us a rate, review, and follow over there. All of our long-form content, all of our videos are posted in podcast form over there. So whenever and wherever you like to listen to your podcast, whether you're driving long distance, working out, on a walk, on a run, wherever and whenever you like to listen to your podcast, make sure you're searching Clemson Live and giving us a follow over there. And that would be greatly appreciated. We still got 40 people in the live chat right now. Make sure you like the video. Helps us out on these live videos. I know I've said it like 1 billion times by now, and you're like, shut up already. Just hit the like button. It don't cost you anything, and it helps support the channel. And then consider subscribing. If you like the content that me and Jordan do here, consider subscribing. We got tons more content coming as we lead up to the season, special guest interviews, and then some exclusive content throughout the season as we get into the meat of the college football schedule. So if that sounds like something that you'll be interested in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hang out with us for the long term. You don't have to be a Clemson fan. We enjoy having all sorts of fan bases here to chop it up with us. And with that said, Jordan, it's time to turn it over to the people and get into the comment section, get into the questions, and figure out what the people want to talk about tonight.
Let's do it. Isaac speculating on who the coach was. It was probably Sarkisian, possibly Beamer. I don't think it, honestly, I don't think it would be Shane Beamer, to be honest. I think he has a level of respect for Clemson at the end of the day. I think it was, I don't know if it came directly from Steve Sarkisian, but wouldn't surprise me it was from someone on his staff. Because that if that was a real quote, then that's who I would pinpoint the most likely. Honestly, because I think they're the most arrogant program. They very much think highly of themselves. Even Kirby has a level of humility, like him or not. I think that wouldn't. I mean, maybe it was someone from his staff, but I don't know if it would come from him, and I don't know if he would have that mindset. But wouldn't surprise me from Sark. Sark is some people like him, some don't. And he, even working with him and working under him, he has his he has his personality quirks about him. So I wouldn't surprise me if he said it or someone on his staff said it.
Yeah, I feel like if anybody said it, it's probably like a Texas thing to say.
It feels like a Texas thing to say, but that's purely speculation on our
David said it was Kiffin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it very well just could be Lane Kiffin just
Lane Kiffin
making something up.
It was probably just Kiffin.
Yeah, probably.
He totally made it up in the moment. Like, I heard. No, you didn't.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, Paul says, unfortunately, he wasn't wrong, but I'm glad we're finally getting some negative PR. Now let's go add some fuel to the fire with it. Yeah.
I know, right?
It's nice to break up the.
Just like a month ago, we were on here talking about how uncomfortable it was with all the love that Clemson was getting. Like, I don't like this. It's too much. So, like I said before, thank you, Lane Kiffin. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to you.
SEC Dog is joining us. He says, good evening, fellas. He says, thoughts on week 1 versus LSU. I mean, it's the biggest season opener that Clemson has had, and that's a home opener that Clemson has had in quite some time, probably since like Georgia 2013.
Yeah.
I'd probably say. Yeah. Auburn 2017.
I feel pretty good, but it's going to be a tough game. It's I'm not here to make any prediction yet. We'll do that a little bit later, a little bit deeper in the fall camp, closer to the actual kickoff of that game. But I do feel good, but with the caveat that I fully understand the reality that this is going to be a tough game.
Michael on Adam Randall, he says, do we think Adam Randall could play a hybrid running back wide receiver flex role? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of possibilities, and I think he could certainly serve that role. You want to go 5 wide and him take the place of a wide receiver in that formation, but you could start out 4 wide, have him in the backfield, and then have him flex out and man coverage or something.
He definitely brings a bit of a different flavor to that running back role because of all of his time as a wide receiver. So whether you're, you got a route out of the backfield that you're using him for, or like you say, you motion him out, or just split him out wide, like there's a lot. Yeah, he's going to be a very versatile player. So I'm sure Garrett Riley is looking to use him in a multitude of ways within the offense, and trying to create mismatches, right? As the running back going out and pass catching, because that's not going to be an easy thing to cover. He's a big dude.
Very big, especially at that position. He takes on a different.
That's not your typical running back.
Yeah,
right?
No.
Coming out of the backfield.
Let's see. John with a BYOG or cell. He says Hannafin may be the next Tanner Muse, not a complexion comparison, but a combo of speed and Mack truck hitting. I mean, I think he's got the potential to be. I mean, I think he's a better athlete than Tanner Muse was in some respects. And Tanner Muse wasn't Tanner Muse ran a 4.5 at the combine, something like that.
Yeah.
Tanner Muse got a lot of flack, but he was a better athlete than I think a lot of people gave him credit for. And I think Ronan Hannafin. I mean, I think he's just a more natural at the position. It feels like that's kind of my projection on him. We haven't seen enough of him to truly make that comparison, but I definitely think he's definitely more capable in coverage and he still brings that linebacker mentality. I'm going to come down and hit you. That's what I loved about him in his high school tape, and I'm excited to see it translate as a safety.
Yeah, I think he made the right move. Moving positions. I think it's going to work out really good for him.
Yes. Oh, it was like a 4.3. Yeah, Muse hit like a 4.3. Yeah, 4.39. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it was. I was selling him short. I know it was he ran a really good time. I couldn't remember.
I don't remember him being that fast, but yeah,
he didn't play that. It didn't feel like he played that fast, but it does indicate that he's a pretty good athlete.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. SEC Dot says, I think Clemson will beat LSU. Brian Kelly can't win an opening game day game to save his life. I think Clemson wins it late in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I think that's definitely well within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I mean, you factor in the home field advantage and all that. Like that place is going to be juiced up.
Oh, yeah.
But even the SEC dogs, I do think it's going to be a tough game, a close game. Like, I don't see a blowout either way. In this game, I think it's going to be a 4-quarter game, and hopefully not too close. Keep my blood pressure as low as possible. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be nerve-wracking. That's for sure. David says, I hope Randall ends up all conference. He's a huge running back for this area. Yeah, I mean. If Adam Randall is an all-conference running back, things are. You had I feel pretty confident about the direction.
We might be saying at that point, why didn't we move him sooner?
Yeah.
Why did we wait till the last year?
Why did we wait so long? Yeah. He had the traits but it never translated fully to the field. And at receiver, and he definitely looks the part in the limited action we saw. He looks natural at the position of running back. So we'll see if
he does.
A full off season is what he needed, and he's ready to go. Let's see. Arthur asks, with the recent success of men's basketball, will we start to get more high-profile recruits to come play here? I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, and I think Clemson has you've seen them, especially in this recruiting class coming up, Clemson is in the mix for a couple of higher-profile guys, and I mean, even in the last couple of cycles, you've seen them be in the mix for higher profile. I mean, this recruiting class you've got coming in with Dallas Thomas and Ace Buckner, and you've got some talented players, not that you got out of the high school ranks, and it's not just going to be about the transfers this year, although they're going to play a heavy role. So, I still don't know how to feel about this team coming up because you do have so many new faces in a system that takes some time to work through and get accustomed to. But individually, I like the players that you got. I mean, Justin Porter, I think has a chance to be a really good player. Nick Davidson. You have some guys that I think are going to be able to play some significant roles for you. So we'll see. We'll see. But
yeah, I mean, it's always. I feel like it's always just going to be an uphill battle for Clemson basketball. Even with the the House settlement and the university can now pay players, like they're not going to get the chunk that a lot of those ACC schools are going to get.
Yeah.
They're just not. So yeah, I mean, I think it's always just going to be an uphill battle, and Brad Bunnell's going to have to be really good at piecing teams together, which he's proven really good at. So
they're very really terrible, and obviously the last couple of years have been really really successful. So I expect I think I think you got to temper expectations a little bit just because of the changes in the sport and the fact that they're not going to be getting the lion's share or rev share. I mean, I think you have to keep that in mind, and I still am happy with where the program is, and I'm excited about the guys that they brought in, but you'll just have to see, and I'm not going to be one that's like, okay, they gotta build on last year and they gotta go back to the Elite Eight or Final Four. Like, I don't think you can reasonably expect that with all the new faces and just the state this program is in. I mean, you're going to be very much year to year, because unless you start investing more resources in the talent acquisition, because I mean, it doesn't matter who you get. If you're not going to give the guy the resources, you're going to be a very year-to-year program. And if Clemson is okay with that, then I think as a fan base, you have to temper your expectations, or let the administration know that, hey, we want we want to be better, and we want to take that next step as a program, because otherwise, football is still going to be the dominating force. And there's definitely a split in the fan base on the opinion of men's basketball and where it stands in the hierarchy of Clemson sports. But so, that's something that the university is going to have to figure out. If they're going to expect if they're going to expect a lot from the basketball program, they got to give them the resources. That's just what you got to do. If not, then you got to be okay with the ups and downs, because that's going to happen no matter who's the coach. So that's my men's basketball spiel. I mean, I'm excited for this year, but I'm not. My expectations aren't.
I think you temper expectations, right? And Clemson's. Occasionally they're going to have a really good team. Like they had, 2 years ago, and then last year was a pretty good team as well. Didn't have the postseason success the previous team had, but still a really good team. But I mean, I know how some of the fan base feels, but football's always going to be king.
Yeah,
at Clemson, and I don't feel any different. Like I'm a football's king guy, so I know not everybody's like that, but I very much am.
I am too, and
you
have to be okay with.
I want to be competitive in other sports, but if I have to choose, football.
It's going to be football,
yeah, and every other sport can kind of we'll figure it out.
Yeah. and I feel the same way about baseball. I mean, as great as high as the expectations are with baseball, it's like, okay, well, if you're going to have to invest if you want to be great at baseball, there's got to be a recommitment of resources there with the new revenue situation and how things are. You gotta pick and choose.
Yeah,
like everybody gets 20.5. You got to choose how you're going to spend it. And if you want Eric Bakich to go out and get better pitching or get more high power bats, like
especially
the money, man.
The pitching, it's not the same, but kind of like a quarterback in football, like that takes money. Like you can't you ain't gonna go get that 5-star quarterback without money.
Yeah,
like you're not gonna go get that elite college baseball pitcher without money.
Yeah, and you've seen them swing and miss on guys this cycle, and it's going to be a point of it's going to be a question mark, coming into next year. So even for baseball, I'm tempering my expectations, even though I'm still like I still have belief in Eric Bakich. Like for this season, you're going to need some guys to kind of blossom. Some of the guys that you brought out of high school, like they're going to have to. It sucked that Dane Moeller wasn't able to play last year because of injury. So potentially getting him back, maybe that helps. But there's going to be a lot of unknowns in that pitching staff. And if you're not going to commit the resources to go and get those top transfer portal pitchers,
You wish, kind of looking back, you wish TP wouldn't have went anywhere.
Yeah.
With the MLB draft stuff and all that stuff, it hurts a little bit more now. But again, it is what it is.
Yep. And really, those are the three major sports where you need to really be thinking about that. I mean, I'm not too worried about the commitment and the revenue commitment in softball. I mean, I think the money is not going to be the same type of question mark or
no
or soccer or any of the other,
unless you're Texas Tech and you're just shelling out some serious money in softball.
Yeah, they're doing some. Yeah, they're shelling out money everywhere right
everywhere. Now.
It's like they woke up. It's like they woke up like last month and they're like, wait a minute, we're rich.
Hey, we can pay people.
Oh, like, man. Wait a minute, we're rich. We've been able to do this. They're like,
why are we sitting around acting like we're poor? We're rich.
Yeah.
Let's go buy the player.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, but yeah, you're seeing it.
That's the stuff we got to get out of college athletics, though. Like I get it. I'm all for the players making some money because there's too much money in college athletics for them not to make money. But this whole just pay for play thing, like we got to get this out of college sports. It has to go. It's not good for the sport. It's just not. Will we ever get it out at this point? I don't know. Probably not. Once the cat's out of the bag, it's really hard to rein it back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, John said with current politics in Texas, oil money fixing to explode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They about to have even more money over there.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to talk about endless NIL pockets. Look at the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
They're doing some work, man. It's something. David asked about what other linebackers are Clemson looking at right now. I mentioned one when we were talking about Tyler Atkinson, DQ Forkbo out of IMG Academy. He's a guy that was set to commit this month and backed off. I think Michigan has gotten in on it, and I think Clemson will be one to jump in too. He's the first guy I'm looking at, and we'll see where they go from there. I mean, I don't think they're looking to take multiple guys. So I mean, if they're gonna whatever they had, hey, who knows? Whatever you had committed for Tyler Atkinson, you'll be able to. Maybe you won't commit the same amount for a guy like DQ Forkbo, but he would be a nice consolation prize if you were able to get him. And the interest from Clemson certainly played a role in him backing off his commitment. So we'll see. We'll see if they they definitely want to get him on campus and see how serious he is about that. So we'll see. SEC Dog says. Jordan, you'll understand me here. This is the first offseason. I have no idea what's going on with my team with all this NIL BS. Yeah. Georgia's been no stranger. I mean, like, as much as we like to think like Georgia is like they're out here, they've won multiple national championships in recent years, and they're out here they're not poor, but they are not like the biggest NIL spender either. And they've had, and obviously this Tyler Atkinson recruitment certainly was example.
They're not Oregon. They're not Texas. They're not Texas A&M.
No.
Ohio State. They don't spend money like those.
They've got some limitations too. So it's Georgia's team is going to be. I think Georgia's kind of being undersold in the preseason right now just because of the unknowns. But I mean,
just how Kirby Smart likes it.
Yeah, I think they're going to surprise some people this year.
I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think they're going to be okay. And I think they're kind of – and it's weird because they won the SEC last year, but it seems like they've been an afterthought in this offseason.
When you start winning them national championships, there's a different standard.
Yeah.
Winning the conference just is like, yeah, whatever, man. That's all you did.
But yeah, they have some questions, but I think their wide receiver room might be the most dynamic it's been. They had some guys last year that just flat out couldn't play. I mean,
have they named their starter at quarterback yet, or are they taking that into fall camp?
I mean, I think it's pretty. I think it's at this point it's going to be Gunnar Stockton. I mean, they sent him to SEC media days. I mean, I think all signs point to him being the guy.
Right.
So we'll see. He's been in the program a while now, and he's waited his turn instead. When he could have transferred somewhere else. So I'm interested to see him. But I think he'll have the best wide receiver room a Georgia quarterback has had in a couple of years. So we'll see if that plays a difference. I think the offensive line was the biggest surprise last year for Georgia. Like they just weren't. They weren't to the level that we expect them to be. I think SEC Dog would probably agree with me. Like that did not feel like a typical Kirby Smart Georgia offensive line.
No, definitely not. And that was certainly probably from my perspective the biggest surprise for Georgia last year.
They had games where they got pushed around,
where they struggled to run the ball. Yeah, that's like when you think of Georgia. I mean, running the ball's an afterthought. Like, yeah, of course they can run the ball. They run the ball on everybody. But last year was, kind of the first year that you can think of in a long time that they really weren't that effective running the ball for, at least for portions of the season. So definitely a question for them that has to be answered this year. But I think they'll be just fine. Yeah. I think they'll be just fine.
I do too. I think they'll be better up front. I think they'll be better up front. I mean, I expect them to be, they're always going to be one of the best defenses. I think they had some games where they didn't play to the standard, but I still think defensively that there's enough in the cupboard that they'll be fine. I think the offensive line is probably the biggest thing in being able to run the ball because, I mean, I think Gunnar Stockton, I think he has some ability, and if the receivers actually catch the football this year with the transfers they got, I think they'll be much more capable offense.
I know Georgia fans were frustrated as hell watching them wide receivers last year.
It was so bad, man. As much flag as Carson Beck got last year, like good Lord, like some of the balls that were dropped, man, like you're just like, what are you doing?
Maybe they should have just ordered like all new gloves. Like let's throw all these away. We should order all new wide receiver gloves.
It was so bad, man.
Yeah, it was rough. They led the nation in drops, right?
I think so. They were. I think they were tops.
Crazy. Yeah.
Couldn't have met
and when your running game's not what you usually, not what it usually is, and your wide receivers can't catch the ball, and then what do? Oh, they just go win the SEC.
Yeah.
Just go win the SEC.
I think that was one of Kirby. I mean, all things considered, I think that was one of Kirby's better coaching jobs. Like it just that team collectively was not that great.
But I think he got interviewed by Josh Pate this offseason, and he even said that himself that this was one of their best coaching jobs was last season, and taking that team and winning the SEC.
Because they were
pretty big.
That was a very flawed team, which is why the opener against Clemson. That's why, especially in retrospect, it's so frustrating because you were competitive for a half and you still got ran over.
Yeah, and then you just got throttled for the second half.
Yeah, it shows how far you had fallen.
Yeah, you weren't even in. They were a step off of where they normally are, and they still throttled you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it shows you what step needs to be made this year.
That's right. Got to go prove it on the field.
Yep. Let's see. Jaywalk. Yeah, injuries to the offensive line were catastrophic. Yeah, they definitely had their fair share of injuries. John Sarian says Castellano is just guaranteed Bama will come in the tally looking for blood and scalps. Yeah, I mean, Thomas Castellanos, he's been on a
That
media
dude,
press
he
tour right now.
he is reckless, man. Like somebody needs to get a hold of him, like and be like, bro, chill out. Like, look. I know Alabama wasn't, the Nick Saban Alabama last year, but have you seen their roster? Like, you really want to provoke a team like that? I don't care who the coach is. Look at the roster. Like,
Yeah,
brother,
I don't think they'll.
you were the quarterback at Boston College. Chill out, dude.
And you got benched. Yeah, so
And
it's
you
like,
got benched at
yeah,
Boston College.
I,
Like,
I know
come on.
he said he's like, I'm just trying to inspire confidence in my team, but I'm like, oh brother, man,
No,
you're
you about to get your team throttled is what you're about to do.
yeah.
And you're going to be dead by the time the game's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much hope for Florida State in that game, especially since I'm kind of high on Alabama this year. So I'm not. I don't feel great about their chances. I mean, I coming off of 2-10 season and Gus Malzahn offense. I mean, that's maybe Florida State tricks Bama once or twice, but and creates a big play, but I just don't see them sustaining much offense for 4 quarters against that defense. And,
Nope, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. Florida State's gonna get blown out, dude.
Yeah, I think that's going to be
not gonna be close.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a good game.
No. Who said? I just saw. Oh, I lost it. Isaac said choosing all the wrong 2K answers. Yeah. Oh, that was fun, especially back in the day when my career was just starting. They gave you like the 4 answer prompts in the press conference, and you could choose like the really aggressive, like arrogant option. It's like picking that one every single time.
Every time, yeah.
And oh man, those were the days, man.
Good times. Good times.
I haven't played 2K seriously in years now. It's and not just I just well, obviously I don't have as much time to play video games as I used to, but I just the quality of it feels like kind of like with Madden, it just feels like the same game every year.
Repeat over and over again. Yeah, slap a new year on it, and it's literally the same game. Yeah.
Arthur says that the intensity wasn't there last year on defense. Can't Dabo share some of the responsibilities for that and not just Wes Goodwin? I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and Dabo had to be that voice at times for the defense last year, and that's just not a role that he's used to doing. I mean, he can do it, but like you're not.
Yeah.
Like Dabo is not the one spending the time with them in the film room every day, and the one telling them and coaching the defense and telling them what to do. Like it's like ultimately the responsibility falls on Dabo because I think he put Wes Goodwin in an unfair situation to begin with. So like as much as we rail on all the shortcomings that Wes had as a coordinator, like. It wasn't his fault that he was in the position he was in. It was Dabo's. So yeah, I mean it definitely falls on Dabo, and it was.
Yeah, I mean, look,
especially in retrospect, the hire wasn't a hire that had to be made. It was an unnecessary risk at a time where you could have gone and gotten anybody you wanted. So
and Dabo, when he's gone outside, has proven that he can go get whoever he wants.
Exactly. Like it's not like nobody wants to coach for him. It's actually a very. I mean, Clemson is a coveted place to come coach because of the culture that Dabo's established and how Dabo runs his program. Like that, it's very appealing to a college football coach.
It kind of alludes to what I was talking about earlier when talking about the Dabo Sweeney interview on Clemson Media Day. That's why I think he just seems more relaxed this year. He's happy with his staff.
It feels like he was he can be hands off now.
Yeah, he knows he doesn't have to fill those responsibility, like all that mentorship and all that. Not that he doesn't mentor his coaches. I don't mean that, but like just being very like hands-on with every aspect of something is not a head coach's job in today's college football.
Yeah.
Um,
It's got too many other things.
More stuff going on.
Yeah.
And what happens inevitably when you put too much on your plate? You do nothing well at that point, right? So that's why I think his hires as of late have been so important, and it definitely looks that he's been intentional with the experience that is required for him to bring you on.
Let's see. Corey asks, starting running back by the South Carolina game, barring injuries, opinion based, obviously. I mean, obviously, I'm very bullish on Gideon Davidson and what he can potentially be. But listen, if Adam Randall takes this running back job by the horns and it doesn't, that is within the possibility where he just is that guy. And
I would like to see Adam Randall take the position by the horns.
Right? I think that would be best for the future.
I think that would be best for Clemson. But what I also want is there to be a second guy to really establish himself so that there's kind of a two running back system there. It's never good to just have one guy, regardless of how good that guy is. And that proved true for us last year with Phil Maffa. As good as he was at the beginning of the season, look what happened as the season went on. As the carries piled up, as the injuries got, more and more debilitating for him. I mean, by the end of the season, he was like, he couldn't do anything really.
Yeah.
And then we went into a playoff game where we had no chance of running the ball because we had only run one running back all season. And now he was not capable of doing that. So now we went into a playoff game with a very good Texas team that had a really good defense, and we were one-dimensional, and there was really nothing we could do about it.
Yeah.
So you got to have, I hope that Adam Randall is the dude this year. Not only for – I think that would be best for Clemson. It'd be a great story, and it would be a reward for him for, not being – just being a team player, right, and not, just popping smoke and running away and pouting because things didn't necessarily go his way all the time. Right,
yeah.
Keeping his head down, grinding, that would be a great reward for him. Exactly. You need that second dude to step up and be viable.
I mean, you think back to even the championship seasons, like when you had Wayne Gallman, you had Travis Etienne, but they had guys behind them. You had a CJ Fuller, you had Tavian Feaster and Adam Choice, Lynn J. Dixon. You had guys.
Adam Choice was really good, man.
Yeah, Adam Choice is one of the more underrated
dude. Yeah.
Especially under Dabo. You had guys that could come in and give you those minutes, those snaps, and kind of take that pressure off. Even when you had a main guy. The Wayne Gallman, the Travis Etienne's,
that's what we need this year. We need those one or two depth guys that are, they may not be performing to the level of that one guy, right? But they're there and they're an adequate option at running back. We really need that this year. I do not want to go another season with just one guy, and the rest of them are just kind of floundering back there.
Yeah,
you can't really trust them because they fumble the ball in practice, or they're not picking up their protections well, or whatever the case may be. We need at least that second dude to step up and be a viable option to get quality snaps out there. Because as much as I love Adam Randall, he has not been the most durable guy.
No.
Throughout his career. Now, knock on wood. Hopefully that's all fixed this year, and he's 100% healthy all year. But, again, you never know. It's a long season.
Yep. Absolutely. So we'll see. But yeah, I have the Gideon Davidson in my head, but like it would not surprise me if Adam Randall just was just the guy this year. But you like like we said, you still need to have the functional depth anyway. I mean, it'd be great if Gideon Davidson comes in as a true freshman and plays at a high level. If you get something out of David Iziamume and Jay Haynes comes back healthy, then you have a really solid room. You still have Keith Adams Jr. As a power back. Like you can, like if those guys can come in and be capable, spell guys, then you feel good. You feel good about the room, and it helps that you have an experienced offensive line. So you hopefully they take that next step in run blocking, because that certainly, as good as they played last year and how improved they were, you still had your moments where you struggled to run the football, and that partly was because Phil Maffa was definitely his play and his health deteriorated over the course of the year, but also because you weren't opening up the same running lanes that you were earlier in the year. So that plays a factor as well. So we'll see. All right, let's do a couple more, and then we'll get on out of here.
Sounds good.
John, mentioned Easton admitted he owned run defense last year. Yeah, he's nothing if not accountable for himself. I've always that's what I've always admired about Nick Easton. I think his room has a lot to prove. I think he has a lot to prove this year, and it's clear there's a different mindset.
And I love that they're openly admitting that, right, in front of the media, because a lot of coaches will shy away from stuff like that, right? But not a guy like Nick Easton, and even calling out his players saying they got a lot to prove this year. Starting with Peter Woods, right? That I like that about Nick Easton, because he's like, I always challenge my best players the most. Because all the other players are watching kind of how you deal with that star player, right?
Yep. John also asked, once healthy, how likely is it Haynes will go back to kick returns? I think pretty likely, just to get him some touches. Yeah, I mean, I think he still offers that ability on special teams. So, I mean, you just got to give him the opportunity. He can run. We saw it. I mean, we saw it at times last year.
Yeah.
He's a really good athlete, and just getting him some opportunities like that, especially if Adam Randall is going to be the guy, and maybe if Gideon Davidson emerges, there's not going to be as much room for him to just get traditional carries. So got to give him some opportunities in other ways to utilize his ability.
Yep.
Arthur says losing Will Shipley was massive. Yeah, I think it was bigger than maybe the fan base was willing to give credit for. Coming off of that 23 season, like it would have been nice to have him last year.
Would have been.
For sure. Yeah.
Would have been.
Yeah. Would have liked to see him play with a new and improved Cade Klubnik and a passing game that was able to take some pressure off of him. Like, nice.
There was certainly parts of the fan base that weren't the biggest fans of Will Shipley and maybe how he conducted himself at times.
Yeah. He's just a competitor, man. I mean, that's rubs some people the wrong way, but
yeah, absolutely.
But it is,
no doubt the talent that guy brought to the room.
Yeah. All right, I think that's a good place for us to end this off tonight. This was certainly a jam-packed show. We hit on a lot, so hopefully you guys were satisfied with what we talked about. Of course, we've got a lot of things planned leading up to the season. We'll start really digging deep into our season previews. Definitely, we're going to have some interviews. with some very notable college football voices. So you guys stay tuned for that, because I'm super excited to get that underway. So y'all make sure to stay tuned. And thank you guys for tuning in tonight. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. We still got 20 people in the live chat. So yeah, just if you haven't already, like this stream. It definitely helps the channel a ton. And if you're new, please consider subscribing, because we are going to be pumping out content more and more, especially as we get closer and closer to the season.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for another great show. Thanks for showing up. We appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, we'll see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. For another edition of the All In Show. But until then, you guys have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week. Go Tigers.
Later, y'all.